Is that Facebook?
Yo,
Yeah, we've been-
so then the mushroom says, no,
Here it goes. Here it goes.
I don't like lampposts. I like tomatoes.
Wow.
Is he
I
serious?
sit.
I bet Winter is at home laughing.
Yeah.
Winter's the only one
Your
laughing.
daughter's
Hold on.
laughing.
Did we,
Me
what
neither.
happened?
Yeah.
Did
I
I
don't
miss?
know.
Did we miss the setup? It was.
I miss.
It's like you jumped to the punchline
I know.
and
I
didn't
know.
say the
I
joke.
know.
What happened?
I did.
Yeah.
I just
Oh, that's okay.
That's how we're.
That's
That's
the
how we're
joke.
gonna get into.
You know, my favorite one is the Lone Ranger said, "No, Tonto." I said, "Posse."
boom.
Are we doing bad jokes right now? Is that what we're doing?
Apparently.
We're getting. Are we rolling?
Yeah, we're
Bad.
rolling.
Oh,
We got
okay.
speed. We got
All right.
speed.
Okay.
But we need these because this is
Right.
That's also his dads. You need bad dad jokes.
Bad
You
dad
do.
jokes. Yo, let's jump into that.
You do. You really do.
Dude.
Yeah, I don't really have any bad dad jokes.
Oh, I literally look for them.
Me too.
Sometimes.
I've got some.
Clearly,
I have,
Yeah, clearly.
I have
Hold
a
on.
book-
One
I
of
have
the other boys
a
is
bad
like that.
a dad
A
joke book in my backpack right now.
Oh,
You
word.
memorizing them?
You
You're
do
going,
not
trying
carry
to.
that.
you're going through them.
Travel with it?
Yeah.
On the plane.
I love yo.
Does your daughter laugh at them?
Sometimes
No. No.
I laugh at him.
That's all that matters.
Wow.
No,
Wow.
sometimes that's all that matters.
That's true.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
what doesn't matter is that your dad, so it's all 100%.
Yeah.
good.
It's almost
No
like
matter
they're
what you
supposed
do.
to be bad.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They're supposed to
Right.
be
Sure.
bad.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they can be so bad they're good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's all in the cell.
Exactly.
It's all in the cell.
Yeah.
Like dad bods are supposed to be bad.
Hey, some women find them the sexiest. Some women find them the sexiest.
Where's my camera?
Hey,
That's right.
Hey.
That's right. Yeah.
It's funny because actually, when Weusi and I first started talking about it, doing a podcast, it was initially supposed to be about being older fathers, and actually when we first met Candace, we were bringing Candace in as a producer, and we had that first Zoom meeting with her, and we finished, and me and Wade were like, we gotta have Candace as one of the hosts.
Like, she's kind of dope.
Yeah.
Wow, thank you.
Yeah.
I thank you. And this is great because I love my dad, so this is where I fit.
There you go.
Yeah,
There you go.
yeah.
Well, I think it's also excellent to have, that feminine energy in here too.
Yes.
Combination
Great balance.
of the two.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah,
doubt.
yeah.
So the podcast went from being about older black fathers to it's expanded into not all hood, where we take this podcast to just discuss the many facets of being black. Henry Louis Gates says there are 42 million black people in America. Therefore, there are 42 million ways of being black.
Exactly.
So here we take this space to be able to discuss, acknowledge the different levels of blackness.
That means for everybody.
Yeah. Because when
I
we
mean to you.
yeah, because when we talk about the black community, we tend to talk about the black community
Right.
as a monolith.
Yeah.
And we clearly are not.
We are not. No.
Yeah.
And, before we get into it, I just want to say Lamman Rucker is here, obviously.
Yes.
And, when we talk about you, what comes to mind? Why did I get married? Meet the Browns, the Black Hamptons, Greenleaf, Queen Sugar. Your parents, they have been in the field. You are an activist. You were a high school teacher, too, weren't you? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I like
Middle
that little-
school in particular.
Oh, big difference,
Yeah,
too.
yeah,
Middle school teacher.
Worked a lot with high school age students, but not as much in the high school as a teacher. But I ran after school program. I used to I had my own youth entrepreneurship training program. I coached high school, basketball. So most of my work with high school kids was more on the mentoring level or after school extracurricular stuff. But in the classroom on a regular basis, that's middle school,
Yeah.
5th through 8th grade.
Bro, that's
Oh, so you have
that's
you
a
should have
different beast
kids.
right there.
Yeah.
Like
You got the patience.
Love them. So I remember so many people talking about how afraid they were of middle school or what I would never do such and such. I don't understand.
Were you teaching in D.C.? Where you from?
No, everywhere. Pittsburgh, New York, L.A. Yeah,
I would assume
Pittsburgh and New York in particular.
there's also a different kind of dynamic having a black male teacher
100%.
that people who are like, oh,
Yeah.
5 to 8.
Right.
They're not commanding what you
Exactly.
command.
And I think there's something that's a powerful word too, to use that word commanding. But I think one of the things we overlook often when it comes to men is how gentle we are. For lack of a better word. That's
Right.
the word. And I think that's what we forget. How that there's a nurturing energy that shows up when we show up. It's not, we've come into this concept that when a man shows up, that there has to be
Hardness.
fear, a hardness, like there's this aggression, that there's this, again, dominance is the, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Are the things. And I literally have seen it. It's become more apparent in me in observing other people that what they're responding to is not your dominance, it's the love that
Yeah, the
walks
sense
in
of
with you.
sensitivity and empathy.
And sometimes maybe with that dominance, it's the other perspective of it, which is their sense of safety, their sense of, right? So when a face lighting up as opposed to somebody cowering away from you, it's a very different thing. So we got to be careful about that too, because sometimes we think the way we have to show up, right? And then men do that,
Right.
Yeah.
and then we mad that everybody's scared of us.
Right.
Make up
As
your
a
fucking
5'4",
Can I cuss on?
yeah.
Make up your fucking mind. That's what I want to
as
say.
a 5'4" black dude, I don't have that.
No,
Like y'all do.
but maybe
You know
not
what
the
I mean?
same way, because
Right,
stature has
right.
nothing to do with it. I
And
know
I know
some
that.
of the most, I mean, we see it all the time. Some folks, they might be this big, but don't nobody play with him. Ain't nobody testing her.
Yeah.
They might be
Right.
And that's
You know-
not because she comes in there wielding, a big stick or something. either. It's just-
I teach on a college level, and I remember bringing in a guest speaker from ABC via Zoom. It was during COVID, and I had realized, I'd never brought in a black male as someone to come and speak to the class. And after he got done speaking, the girls especially said, "It was so scary." He said nothing that was scary. He just talked about the news, the industry, internships, how to get everything else that everybody else would talk about. I said, "Why did you think he was scary?" His voice, he never, but I said, because of that, because of their perception
Yeah.
of what they thought a black male was. And he was on Zoom. He wasn't even in the physical
Right.
presence. So that's real.
Yeah.
Yeah, people have that notion, especially black males in America, about what I'm supposed
And
to be.
depending on your tone, and it's funny because you never, thank God I also believe I was taught this way, thankfully, but making sure that you're not minimizing yourself when you come into a space because you're aware of that reality and of that possibility,
Right.
at least, especially if there are people who don't look like you that are on the other side of that, equation, and learning how to, all right, I'm not going to minimize or pacify, right, emasculate myself
Sure.
just
To
for
make
someone
someone else feel
else's comfort,
comfortable. Yeah.
but at the same time having, and maybe it's cultural competency of your own to say, all right, I'm aware of the reality, so let me do some things to make sure everybody knows they're okay. Everybody knows that you don't have to. There's nothing to be afraid of. So there are ways to just lighten that up, disarm people, create that safety and trust and so forth. Because sometimes if you don't know how to provide that balance, people will often walk away with this really one-sided, really interesting perception of what just happened. You're like,
Right.
that's not what happened.
What
at all."
happened?
So does
On my
that
end.
become like
I did that?
a issue?
Yeah.
Like a respectability, politics, right? Where you're changing. Some people would say that you're changing your demeanor
Right.
for just to be accepted,
Right.
or you know what I mean.
I mean, it's code switching
and-
a little bit.
yeah, right, it's code
stuff like
switch,
that
right.
too, right?
But like,
Knowing your audience.
and it's also, so I mean, I know your mama, you know what I mean. That's sort of where you come from, sort of how swag is swag, like you get it. Yeah. You know what I mean.
Honestly.
Yeah, like
I mean, she know how to come in the room and light the whole place
Right,
up.
yeah.
You know
Exactly.
what I mean? But
shout out to my Nana Malay.
but she don't hide. She doesn't hide nowhere either.
Exactly.
Right.
If she want to, if the boom comes, or or whatever power she's gonna give you, is to you know, it comes. So, you know,
Right, right.
if you ain't ready for it, you don't know how to deal with it. It's on you.
Right, exactly.
You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think
But
one
this
dad's
comes
the
from a
same
place
way.
of empowerment. Like it's like I'm gonna hit this. Black excellence, from my perspective,
Right.
is being excellent and add a little sauce to it. Right.
Right.
Doing
That's
what
the
you
blackness part.
Wade's trying to add some sauce to this conversation
Yeah,
because
Yeah.
of how Malcolm feels
I'm about
about
to say,
the
I
word
see
black
something
excellence.
intentional happening here. Is
Yeah.
he actually trying to agitate you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's provoking you.
Yeah, because we've had a conversation earlier about black excellence, and I'm not necessarily a fan
Of the language?
of the I'd probably was excellence while being black. I don't know. I got to think on that. But for me, black excellence is so much equated to fame and fortune. You know, that we see. We see anyone out there who's perceived as doing well,
Right. It's the hashtag.
economically. Yeah, then
Right.
it becomes hashtag
Right.
black excellence.
Right.
So it's just it's an issue that I kind of have.
No, absolutely.
You know.
And again, even that needs to be broadened. Sometimes even more specified at the same time, like broadened. Like it's got to mean more than that. If it's just about this, and,
Right.
You know what I mean? The high life and the bright lights, like that don't make you excellent.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And also
excellence is
excellence
about a whole lot of other things.
Yeah, and excellence
Yeah.
is excellence. Like
Yes.
For me, it seems like generally when we put black in front of something, it's like the black version of. Therefore, it's sub
It's lesser
whatever
than,
the thing.
right?
Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
Right,
Yep.
right.
Yeah.
I see that.
Excellence is just excellence.
Yeah. See, for me, it's interesting that you would say that, but for me, black excellence is the upgrade to any level of excellence.
That's
you
why
go.
Wade
See,
brought
I
that.
thought-
Wade knew you were gonna do that.
As soon as he said, I was like,
Yeah.
I gotta miss my chance.
Yeah.
I got somebody to co-sign.
So I was like, I'm the only one.
But
got
I
an ally.
absolutely
You got
hear
an
where
ally.
he's coming from because that is
Institutionally-
a pattern
Right,
of
right.
ours. Is that we have to, I don't want to say redefine, because I do think we often do redefine things again in a positive way. But yeah, why is that black excellence? That's just excellence.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And
I-
saucy
And,
excellence.
and
That's
either
why.
way, and so saucy excellence is different because
Right.
because if we're saying black excellence is an upgrade to excellence, we're still comparing excellence to a white power structure.
Right. We're comparing. There's a standard.
You know,
No,
yeah,
we
Right,
understand
we have
it.
to meet.
Okay.
But yeah, but if we're saying
But
black
then why does it
excellence,
need the adjective?
Right, exactly.
Right.
Because it's black and black is extra sauce on it.
Yeah, I know.
I see what you're saying. Yeah. I mean, there's
feel where you're
mustard
going
and
with
there's spicy mustard.
Exactly.
It's all mustard.
And being black is spicy mustard.
Right.
But to his point,
Thank you, bro.
But to his point, that still is implying that there was already a basic standard of mustard, of yellow mustard, right? So I
fired,
kind of, I'm just, I get it.
I think what we got out of this was spicy mustard.
Yeah,
That's, like, that's all right.
Hey, look,
It's
as
all
long
right.
as it's not
It's
mayo,
spicy.
we good.
As long as it's not mayo. Hey, now there's spicy mayo.
Chipotle.
But I wouldn't equate black excellence with spicy mayo.
Right.
Mambo sauce, maybe.
Hey.
South Beach, stand up.
That's great.
All
Where
right,
y'all from?
That's right.
Okay, fathers. How old are our children fathers and how many?
So I have a 8-year-old daughter.
You have eight. I think you have 8 kids.
No.
He just
This
found out.
comrade.
Yes,
He just found
He
out.
is not one short of the barge.
You are the father.
Why am
Give him
I?
the shirt.
I'm not laughing. I'm not fault. It's not funny. I'm trying to.
You're not one short of the barge. You good?
I'm just saying, like, ooh, if I start getting,
have 8 kids.
Do you have kids?
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, take a seat. Wait, we're not switch out.
Oh,
What?
shit. Yeah, he need his own episode.
I really thought you had 6. Did something happen?
Bonus.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's still 6, though.
Yeah.
now I'm saying that's a hey, all right, hey yo, he
He still got a hoop squad.
I'm feeding the bonuses. It ain't 6.
Yeah.
It's 8.
It's
That's
eight.
what I'm saying.
Word.
So even without them, too, it's still 6.
Yeah,
If
bro.
we see you inch up in the chair,
Right,
we
we'll
will
understand.
understand.
I'll move.
Yeah. We'll just squeeze on in.
I'll move.
Saying,
Yeah, that's
So you have
a
an
lot.
8-year-old.
have an
Winter's
8-year-old.
8. Jeez.
yes, Winter Opera Head.
That's so pretty.
8 years
Man,
old.
wow. Yeah, I have a 6-year-old. Winter was 2 years old at our baby shower.
Well,
Wow. Yeah.
yeah, 6 and 3.
6
Yeah.
and 3.
But I got 8 others that don't belong to me, but they're mine. They belong to me. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I got kids.
Wow.
And then again, we're talking about all this teaching and mentoring.
Yeah.
I got kids.
I see what you're
And
saying.
I got a lot of nephews and little brothers and little sisters and that kind
Right.
of that
Claiming
kind
a
of
lot
thing.
of
And
people.
nieces that
Right.
that don't biologically belong. I mean, if we had the opportunity to spend more time together, I'd be claiming their babies just the same.
Yeah.
And even though I don't spend as much time with them, let me see them kids somewhere.
Out
Or let
cutting
me
up.
right.
Thank you,
I mean,
bro.
we're gonna be with each other, following each other's journey, supporting each other. So
Yeah.
just the same, them kids, them girls belong to me too. So they might not know who you are sometimes if you don't always have the proximity, always don't have the engagement in certain ways. But they
Uncle Lamar.
at some point they'll know what's up. Even if it ain't till college. There's a
Right,
couple
right.
kids that
Right.
I've just been hovering, right,
Right.
because
The
you're close to
dudes.
their parents, and then really, he going to school where? Oh.
Let me
Let's make sure we get together as soon as y'all get here. Let's do this. Let's do that.
Pull up.
I'll keep my eyes on them, or right.
Let them know they
Make
got- they
she
need
comes
that home
over,
cooked
right?
meal.
Meet wifey. This, that. Introduce you to a couple other people. I mean, I've done that numerous
Many
times. Even once it gets to just the college level or whatever. But until then, we do what we can to stay connected. But some of these kids I've had my hands on. I've literally raised them or co-raised them.
Yeah, like building community is
Hey man,
crucial.
it's
That's
crazy.
what we do.
I've had to whoop a couple asses, all that. I've been PTA meetings. I've been doing all that for years, bro. I promise you. Yeah.
Lamont at a PTA.
Oh yeah. I've had to threaten a couple lives before. I take that shit seriously.
I'm happy.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay, that opens up a follow-up question.
Yeah.
When did you threaten a couple lies? What was that situation? Let's get into it.
Well, I mean, there's a couple times. I'm trying not to embarrass my nephew, but I had a nephew who was acting a damn fool. So I'll start with him.
Okay.
And it was one of them kind of moments where it was like, okay, like he needs a serious talking to.
That man
and
to man.
his father wasn't really present. My sister had her first two when they were together, and they had them very young. So I also knew, right, compassionately, right, again, back to the gentleness or whatever, that some of this is like this boy being a teenager, trying to find his identity, not really sure whether he knew that he's the head, not the tail. He kind of needed a reminder that, hey, man, all right, you cut from a different cloth, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And some of what's expected of some other young people isn't the same as what's expected of you. So let me make clear to you what the standards and expectations are, right? These are things that you're capable of. You might not believe in yourself and know that you're capable of them, but you are. Just like kind of just gently and lovingly laying it out. And then the other part was, you keep fucking up. I'll be on a plane from LA and I'll rip you out the fucking frame. Let's be very clear who's...
Yeah.
And I remember specifically saying, your mother is my sister. Your mother is my sister. You keep giving my sister this grief, I'm going to come back here and fuck you up. Don't get this Hollywood shit fucked up. Don't get like
202.
Yeah, you about to get some. You about to get some old school
DC,
Pittsburgh, Manchester, Southeast DC. Like it's
Bang, bang.
yes. If I have to do that to you,
Because I love you.
Yeah.
and it's for the safety and protection of everybody else.
Right.
You are not going to be the cancer that continues to be right. The brain,
Disruptive to everything.
Oh my God.
Right.
And I've already seen, I lost my brother in the street already. We're not doing that shit again.
Right.
Not on my watch. Right? So I
Right.
took his ass to the cemetery where my brother is buried. And we walked around that cemetery for a couple hours. And it was even for me, it was a traumatizing day for me. Because you're seeing graves of babies. Literally, there's a section of the cemetery called Babyland.
Really?
It's called Babyland.
wow. Is it LA?
No, DC.
Oh, DC. Okay.
But I'm sure that exists in plenty others. So
Yeah.
think about it. Think about how many
Yeah.
people literally lose children for all kind of different reasons. whether they miscarry, whether they get sick, whether they get shot by a straight
Right,
bullet,
right.
like who hit by a car. I mean, all the possibilities,
Right.
but there were, you don't know all the details, but it's still the reality. Yo, man, look, this is where you want to end up. I don't want to come back here. I ain't been back since. I was like, I don't want to come back here.
How did he receive that?
He got his shit together. It wasn't long after that. He screwed up again. And my sister, again, tried to save him from me. And she did, because I couldn't get to him the way I wanted to. But then another event happened, and he almost went to jail. And that shook him. And then my wife, who was just my girlfriend, still, just my lady at the time, she said something to him that later, he admitted was actually very impactful and moving to him. But similarly, had the judge not showed him some grace and could see again who he belongs to, where he comes from, that he, again, is a high achiever. This isn't really, it ain't like he been in and out of the jail, throughout,
Right.
And they ain't got no confidence. So it was like, I think he got like a year of like, okay, you're on like, we don't
Full
be
probation.
in a sense, like, I better not see you again, type thing, right? If I see you again within such and such amount of time,
Gonna catch it.
it's gonna be a problem. That type of thing from from the judge, right? And instead, he keeps his act together, at least well enough to not be incarcerated. He's still doing a couple of little knuckhead teenage things, right? But then matriculated to college, graduated from Morgan State, and is a successful young, businessman, and was in leadership positions while he was in school. So at one point we have a conversation. It's like, okay, you see what you're doing now?
Yeah.
This is the direction you're supposed to be going, and not there. And he was kind of like, yeah, thanks.
And you married that woman who gave you the good advice.
Right.
That's right.
It was kind of like, oh, okay, like you wouldn't even know what this looks or feels like, right? If you were in a cage or gone,
Right.
We want you here, man. We love you. We need you. This family loves you. I love you. I'm crazy about you. No, I'll never forget the first time I laid my eyes on that boy and held him in my hands. It's just like, you got to understand what you mean to the rest of us as well. But unless you believe in yourself and love yourself the same way, you're not going to figure it out and not going to get it together. I had to literally consider the fact that if I had to really come back and do something, like, can you imagine the kind of stress that certain families have had to live with because, the daddy or the uncle knocked the son out.
Right.
Now he and his sister haven't talked for years, but it was like, I had to do it, sis. Like, that's not. I don't want that to be our story.
I think it's interesting that raising Black children is really is about survival, right?
So much.
It's like it's not just it's not just raising kids so they can grow up and be part of society. Like we're we're really raising kids to keep them alive.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the challenges that we have as Black parents. When we think about, and especially having a son, like your son is 3. I think about our jobs as fathers of daughters. That's one set of obstacles.
Right.
But then raising a Black boy is a whole nother set of obstacles and fears and
some
survival.
Some of them very different.
Man, and the things that we have to instill in our kids, right? Like you can't do what
Whoever they are.
Yeah, you can't do what they do.
Yeah,
there's a difference. It's just different.
Yeah,
raising Black kids, preparing them for the world. Out there.
Like there was literally a situation again with him, which is the and I'll leave that alone because I don't want to keep breaking him through the coals right now either. But again, we joke about it. They're all much lighthearted about this moment and other moments now, right? That's the thing. Once you go on the other side, you can be like, right. But there was an incident at a playground, and because it's a playground that was Black children and predominantly Black boys, the response by law enforcement to whatever kind of event was a completely different response than if we were in, a different community and there were, different children or more diverse.
Over the top and
Right.
unnecessary.
Of children there. Yeah. So, you know, even that, it's that kind of reality that we're talking about, right? It's driving while black, right?
Right.
So
Right,
we
right.
got to keep adding the black to it.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the problem. But, you know, it would be nice that, oh, we're just driving. Like, no, I'm not just driving. I'm driving and I'm black and I'm a male and masculine and dominant or maybe perceived, you know, to be overly dominant or threatening by somebody. All the stuff you have to think about.
Right.
That ain't even your stuff.
Right.
Right,
And I'm
right,
wearing
right.
a hoodie. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
My clothing choice.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's interesting when people,
And it's Georgia.
talk about black people, right? Not Atlanta, but Georgia, right? There's a difference,
Yeah.
But when people talk about, why do black people make everything about race? But it's like every day of our lives, our existence is filtered through.
We wish we didn't.
Right. We don't. It's not.
I like being black.
What is it?
I like being black.
Yeah,
but
it's not a complaint about being black,
right.
Okay.
at all. But when people say, "Why do we make everything about race?"
Because we can't avoid it.
Right.
Yeah,
we live.
yeah.
We live in a society where every single day we are forced to think about race,
'Cause-
whereas other, non-black
Ethnicity.
people, other ethnicities, can go through life and not even have to think about what they are,
Yeah.
unless they're confronted by a black person about the issue
About
of
the
race.
right.
Yeah, people think you're making stuff up.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. We make
You're like,
everything
no, I
about
just need
race.
to pick up my food, but no one's serving me. So I'm wondering, is this a race thing? Right?
Right.
And that's the first thing that comes into your mind because I know I came before her, and him. And then that's the first thing that comes to your mind. I'm
Or
just
at
being-
least you're like, okay, no, there's got to be.
Yeah, right, right.
You try to be-
Oh, they're understaffed.
Right,
And
right.
then
You
if
coming
stuff
up,
doesn't
you
compute,
don't want to
you're
go
like,
there.
It don't got
You don't
one.
wanna
There's
go
only
there.
one cook
we
here.
don't want to go
You're
there.
like,
Yeah.
okay, no, they not understaffed. They're I'm seeing okay, so
Right.
you know, you can't take that off the list,
Right.
you know, until you really can completely take it off the list.
Yeah.
But yeah. But everybody has, I think, certain things. You know, I can imagine even sometimes, again, just as a woman,
Oh,
there's
sure.
a similar kind of thing. Like, what did you just say?
Yeah,
Did he-
what did you say? Yeah, what
Was
did you
that-
say? You keep asking that same question about my hair. I'm just
Yeah, no, right.
curious. Where are you coming from?
Right.
Yeah.
Or I hear there's times where I'm observing people and I'm like, did she just say that to her?
Right.
And even sometimes from a woman, she's talking to that woman in a way that's actually very sexist in a sense, for lack of, you know, it's,
Yeah.
so it's weird, you know. And as a teacher, it was something that I also had to learn because one of the things, you know, so I had my master's in education, and I'll never forget this whole thematic, you know, unit we kind of did on the hidden classroom, you know, was the language. So there's a lot of things that we're all actually guilty of that we do that are biased behaviors, biased language,
Right.
Things where, let's say a little boy raises his hand and you say, yes, young man, you know? And then when she does,
Yes,
you
darling.
say, uh-huh. You just say, uh-huh. Or you say, yeah, sweetie pie. Right?
Right.
And you consider yourself to be endearing, but you're also you
Belittling.
disserviced both of them.
You really
You
planted a
showed him
seed.
a certain kind of respect and formality you didn't show her.
So did
And then
did
you
find
also
that-
showed her a care and right
That
Sensitivity.
that you didn't show him. So it's interesting for
Yeah.
you to just learn to be conscious of your pattern of that behavior and to be mindful of making sure that there's some balance. Make sure you also say yes, ma'am, and also make sure you say, yeah, my man.
Right.
Or, yeah, young, you know, like whatever that is,
Right.
you know.
What kind of enlightening moment was that for you? Like, or was it something that you recognized and was receptive to immediately, or did
Immediately.
you have to? Okay.
Immediately. And it's one of those things that makes you become more self-aware because you're like, that's that sound. You go, do I do that? What do I
Right.
do? How often do I do that? Who do I do that to?
Right,
you know,
right,
like
right.
you're thinking like that. And then that's what I think really good information, right? Knowledge gives you perspective on yourself and also gives you some perspective on, right,
Community,
others. So you now have to consider how might they receive, perceive, interpret, not just what are my behaviors and patterns. And I think culturally and throughout your life, it's just a sensibility that I've learned to have. You
And
know,
understanding
across-
sort of some of the
across
subtext
the board.
and link and
Yeah,
messages
because you don't
that you're
know,
sending
you don't
in
know,
your communication.
like you don't know what's going on in this child's home, right?
That is
So you might
true.
actually be giving them care that they don't get anywhere else but you,
right.
right? Which is good, which is
Yeah.
also the power and beauty of a good teacher and of a
educator,
healthy, right? You know,
round
learning
of
environment.
applause. Can we give some
At
love
the
to the
same
educators?
time, if either of those children if anything's happening inappropriately in their
They can open
lives or
up
in
to
their
you.
homes, you are actually reinforcing
Yeah,
it
yeah.
in a way that's inappropriate. So it's really,
Yeah.
it's interesting. It's really,
And when you do
it's
it the
delicate.
right way in terms of the interaction, if there is something going on, they might feel like they can tell you. When
Right.
You do it the
exactly.
right way.
And the behavior might look the same, but it's different. So you saying sweetie is different than someone who treats them inappropriately who says sweetie.
That's right.
And then sometimes then what you're teaching is, oh, sweetie
okay.
can mean different things. And it
Right.
can also make me feel different ways from different people that have a different energy and a different intent. And a different care, you know, for me and of me. So,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
All the
like that kind of
nuances.
thing. Right.
Yeah.
You're
So
teaching
what would
kids
be-
how to talk to each other even.
That's true.
So I've heard some of my kids start to call each other ma'am and sir. And they're fifth graders. I'm like, what? You know, and I'm like, well, yeah, why not?
They call each other comrade.
There you go. So
No, but that's
what-
a good one.
what-
That's a good one. I might start doing that.
please do. Please do. That's
I might start doing that.
that's our replacement for the N word.
Okay.
Comrade.
All right.
Comrade is-
Okay.
that's-
I might start playing with
Please,
that.
please do.
right.
Please do.
I'm gonna start playing
We
with that.
want that to catch on.
All right.
You know.
Fist comrade.
Yeah. Hey. There it is. There it is. You heard it here first
That's
on Not
right.
All Hood.
Fist comrade.
Shout out to Reggie Mason. Word.
Not the teeth clench. We know that one.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm just kidding. So what would be back to how you're addressing students?
Yeah.
So what would be the correction?
So that's the thing. There's not necessarily a right and wrong.
Right.
That's the complexity of these things because we're talking about human beings, and then on top of that, we're talking about children.
Different
And then you have
stories.
a room of multiple children,
With multiple personalities,
Multiple levels of learning, different ways.
different
Just things
home
going on in their
situations.
lives,
That's what I'm
yes.
saying.
Yeah.
Different levels of who knows what they've seen or heard or not seen or heard.
Yeah.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
So it's just, like I said, the most important thing for me was at least the awareness. So you understand how accountable you are for some of that. And a lot of that you can't necessarily control, but you can at least be, you know, aware of and sensitive to and mindful of, because you'll start to see like, oh, okay, I'm not sure if he's responding very well to that. Let me shift that. Some kids, I'm a very affectionate person. You got to still be mindful
That's
how
right.
you're touching
Word,
somebody's
word.
child
That's
or
right.
touching any child. But some kids look, they all over you. They want to be hugged. They want to be on you all the time. And you have to sometimes be like, chill. We can't
I
do
got
that.
you. I got you.
Right?
You got
Right.
give
Yeah.
them the heavy hand on the
At
shoulder.
the same time, there's other
Heavy on the
times
shoulder.
where
Right, right.
absolutely, and again, especially as fathers, absolutely, you want
Yeah.
to take that little boy, you want to take that little girl, and
Right.
carry him down the hall.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I know you a
Right,
sixth
right.
grader, but come on, hop on my back and let's roll. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
So there's some of that. I mean, I ate lunch with my kids in the class. I didn't do the the teacher lounge, and
I didn't either.
I sat at the some of them little tiny
I know,
tables.
you
I
got-
had
you
to
got-
squeeze in sideways.
I didn't.
And sit there. You didn't have to squeeze.
I just
Did your feet touch the ground?
I walked into that one.
But so there was I always tried to stay
These comrades.
connected. I tried to stay connected and engaged in a lot of
Yes.
those ways because again, that's what then gives you more information on what your boundaries are, respecting their boundaries as well, and at the same time having a real understanding of, in particular, also as a Black man being in this space, what kind of impact you can have by being that model of love, of disciplining with dignity also, right? There's a way to do that. That's not breaking a kid down and destroying their spirit to try to get, your message, or shaming them in front of the whole, school and,
that
and that kind of
embarrassment
thing.
is real.
Yeah, stuff like that. It's a couple times though you might have to, like, I don't raise my voice, but if I have to, it's only to a certain degree. And even still, you got to be mindful of your tone, your language, who's around, who can hear you, right? Because again, like how that can affect anybody, even adults.
Right.
Them little kids are still inside of all of us.
That's right.
No doubt.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you're still always talking to that sixth grader.
Right.
Always.
Yep.
If you
Always
think about that,
pouring
you're
in,
always
pouring into
talking
them.
to a sixth grader, for lack of a better way to put that, right?
Yes.
But that doesn't mean we patronize each other and talk down to each other, but it is making sure that we're sensitive and compassionate with each other and understanding that, even inside of this king, there's still that little boy. Inside of this queen, there's still that little girl, and just being, just keeping that consciousness there, so you're respectful and kind, even when you're firm and, or you need to say something.
You make me
that
want to
might
go
make
back into the
people
classroom.
It's fun, man. I love it. I miss it. And
Yeah.
I teach on the higher ed level too.
Yeah.
And it's the same. It's the same thing.
It is the same thing.
And the funny thing was when I was teaching, and I had people twice my age in my classroom.
Wow.
And the same sensibility came to
Talk to
mind.
a sixth grader.
Even though, exactly. And I started doing little stuff, giving them scratch and sniff stickers that I found at this dollar store and stuff like that. Maybe at the time, I'm in my 20s and they 40, 50 years old or so.
That's
and
hilarious.
they geek that they got.
They love
Remember
it.
the little stars, the little
Yes.
sparkly little star stickers?
Right.
Stuff like that.
I do the
Man.
same thing. And look, when you put a smiley face,
Yes.
I've turned in papers. They're like, "Well, I got 100, but you didn't give me that smiley face." I'm like,
Really?
"Really?
Yeah.
But it brings out
You'd
that
be
sixth
surprised.
grader.
Yep.
That's how we've been trained
Yep.
to be acknowledged with a smiley
Yep.
face, the star. I've done stickers on the college
Yep.
level too. They're like,
I ain't never get no
they save
smiley
it.
faces.
Yeah. See?
It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. Some people feel like that too. They be salty. So when they finally get it at 20 or 30 or 40
Or 50.
it's a thing. And unfortunately for some, if they always got them before and they don't continue to see them, they start feeling some kind of
Yeah,
way.
they do.
Yeah.
They do.
Yeah.
They do.
And sometimes it's humbling. We're like, well, you were a higher achiever then than you are now. Sometimes you might have to let them know. Like, yeah, you're not quite cutting it right now.
So do you all have friends of yours that are fathers that you kind of check in with, and has that dynamic changed?
Oh, yeah.
Now that you have had kids, I would imagine. And then
yeah.
I'm wondering, what are your, oh Lord, these two.
Yeah.
What are you talking about that's different post kids and pre kids when you
Oh, that's a
get
good question.
when you get with your boys?
Me and Weusi are no longer talking about girls.
That makes sense.
We're talking. We the girls we're talking about now. We're talking about our wives and our daughters.
Right.
Wow.
You know,
Yeah,
it's a
yeah.
different.
Yeah. That's an excellent
That's a
example.
very, oh yeah, that is.
That's an excellent example.
And that makes sense. And actually, that's a given. Sorry, right? That's a given.
Not
right?
well with us, yes, but not
Yes,
necessarily.
look,
That's
I'm
not
expecting
necessarily.
that,
It's not
Malcolm.
necessarily a given with
Not necessarily a
men.
given.
That's true, but I'm
You know.
expecting it with you.
Yeah, and
Yes.
I think what I find, what I love is, and probably from being
you, Shelley.
old, from
I love you, Shelly.
being older parents, three of us haven't gotten married, later in life. There is a genuine joy and happiness in our marriages, right?
Right.
That I may not have necessarily had I
Right.
gotten married and started a family earlier. And that's nothing against any of my
relationships before,
my
right.
prior relationships. I know me at my level of maturation, and my friends, and we talk about it, at our level of maturation.
Yeah.
There is a I'll speak personally, almost a relief that I waited as long as I did to get married and start a family. So that's a wonderful conversation to have amongst my comrades.
Yeah.
And what's that relief about?
So,
Relieve that.
Relieve that we're not having the conversations that we heard in our 20s and 30s and 40s about baby mama drama.
Right.
I think coming to our marriages and starting families at a place where we know ourselves better, right? So we're not doing the same shit that we may have done in prior relationships. Knowing ourselves more, we're making wiser decisions in terms of this is actually the person, this is my life partner here.
Right.
As opposed to when you're, 20, 30, still trying to figure out who you are, right? Looking for a soulmate.
You don't know
Right.
who
You don't know who you are, right.
You gotta know who
And
you
what
are
does that
first.
even mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
So you spend, that younger time doing this younger, you run into a lot of roadblocks and dead ends. And those are conversations. We've all grown up with conversations with our, our man's talking about, man, this, or my baby mama, whatever.
Yeah, I never wanted that.
Yeah.
Nobody wants that.
So being able to be in this place, like, I know what I'm saying, like, we did it right.
Right.
I say to my
Like a
dad
little
all the time,
patience
like Dad,
paid
I
off.
did it right. He's like, yeah.
And not getting stuck to like status quo, like you got to do it by this time.
Right.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Right.
Because I mean,
Yeah.
we said
And
these
that's what
conversations.
do it right means to me. It doesn't mean that there's a specific way to do it right.
Right.
But for you, you
Yeah.
weren't supposed to do that at
Yeah.
20
That
something.
time.
For you,
Right.
you were supposed to do it at,
Exactly.
the way or similar to, right? Like I don't think things are super specific.
Yeah.
But yeah.
There wasn't any societal
was-
force
Right.
that
but
made
it's
you do
Well,
X,
No,
Y,
there,
Z.
I mean, there were
Bro, we said in conversations like, yo, we're 30 plus, you
yes.
know what I mean? And we're like, yo,
she
we're
out
considered, but not just is she out there, but we were considered damaged goods. Like,
right,
you know what I mean? Like,
I had a woman say I was 35. And one was like,
What's wrong with you?
How you gonna be 35
and not had no kids.
Yeah. So even that, there's this odd expectation
Yeah.
that by a certain time, like, no, I expect for you already have babies, maybe several, and in a couple different places. I expect that you had been married already before. So
Right.
there's even these preconceived, perceptions and notions that other people have that, and then you start being like, really? So as opposed to,
Right.
Well, I think there's also this idea that, hey, you're a man,
Yeah.
you have a job, you're single, and you get to choose. And there are a lot of great women out there.
Right.
Why haven't you chosen? And I
Right.
know that I hear that a lot.
yeah.
Like at age 35 around, like, what are you doing?
Or why hasn't anybody chosen you? Is part
That
of
is
what's
true.
implied too.
Yes,
That's-
that is true.
yeah.
Exactly. And then there's that, like you said, that damage.
What's wrong with you? Like,
yeah.
you're not husband material?
Right. All these choices, all these years,
Yeah.
and, absolutely.
Or, oh, nobody got him. I'm gonna get him.
Yep.
Right?
Oh, that's a whole nother thing.
Especially when like you
That's
come
a
to
whole
a
nother
situation.
thing.
Yeah,
or I've
yeah.
come to a situation and been like, listen, we're just hanging out.
Yep.
Look,
I don't know what those air quotes mean, but I'm gonna let you go.
on the real, look, I just came out of a 6-year relationship.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm not looking to go into another relationship.
Yep.
I'm gonna get him. I'm gonna change his mind.
Yep.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. That's a real
Yes.
real
And that's
game.
something that you sense. Obviously, she didn't say it, or maybe she did.
No, she didn't say it. No,
Yeah,
but
but
you
you
said
sense you sense she's working hard.
The evidence starts to become quite clear.
Got you.
There are I can speak for 2 women that are no longer in that equation.
Right,
I'm
'cause you're
I'm
married.
But they had a chance. But with that attitude, that's how they fucked that up. Because you can't control that. You can't control
Mic
me. You
dropped
can't come
right there.
in.
Wow.
You can't come in there with this, agenda or this like these ulterior motives with like, oh, really? That's what you said? Okay, we'll see.
Right.
I'm gonna, and that level of that it's conniving as hell.
Yeah.
And thank God it showed up, and I was like,
See you.
Look,
Deuces.
I've learned so much game from my mom.
yeah,
Really?
that too.
My mother used to tell me, I tell you a couple of things. Fellas, listen.
what's up, Miss
right?
Pam?
Yeah.
Shout out
Yeah,
to
shout
Pam
out.
Warner.
Let me lean
Man.
back.
She
Lane,
was
you
like-
got popcorn? Because we get into a popcorn moment.
Right.
I'm just about to lean back right here.
I tell you, she was like, don't let no woman come over and cook for you.
Shut the front door. Okay, go ahead.
Not your house.
Don't let them come clean up for you. Don't let them pick stuff up off the floor for you. Because that's how women get men.
And don't let them leave stuff behind.
Do not let them leave a daggone thing behind. Because
Got
those
that
are the
toothbrush.
games that women play. Like cats be like, man, yo, she take care of me. Motherfucker, take care of yourself.
Right.
right?
I
Women,
can't wait to see the comments on
I can't wait to see the comments up under
but
here.
that's real.
Again, Shelley, I
a
love
woman
you.
would leave something at my house and it was being thrown out.
It's not
Like, for real.
It might not be here when you get back.
Right. Right.
If you
Right, just
back.
like me. I may not be here, right? That's you talking. I mean, I ain't gonna be
Yeah, and then she's like, and do not let them spend the night. If they spend the night, then you got to get up early in the morning. She's like, don't let them come and get too comfortable in your house.
Okay.
I'm telling you. And
I didn't have these issues, Shelley.
Let's also
didn't
fairly
have these
say
issues.
these are the same. These are, if not the exact same, they are very similar to how I would advise women. Just the same. Like, right? Don't let him start leaving stuff. Don't let him start making himself comfortable in your space, in your place. Coming and going as he pleases, like waking up late, chilling, hanging out,
Okay,
and
you
then
beat me to the
eventually
punch. I was
leave.
about to say,
I
no,
mean,
wait a minute.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay,
Nah, trust
okay,
me. And
okay.
again, I don't have biological daughters, but as fathers of daughters,
Yes.
these are absolutely the conversations that we will be having with them.
But our daughters aren't gonna have guests.
Of course not. Ever.
Ever.
Never.
So where
First
do you
boyfriend, 45.
Where do you think they get these? And it's women. Where do we get these ideals then? That because I hear a lot of women who are like, yes, I got this keep your man. My girlfriend has this keep your man cornbread recipe, and it is good. You know, but she calls it that,
Yeah.
and it kind of speaks to what you are
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah.
Where do you think they get these ideals from? Then?
Well,
Because
It's called keep your man. That means it's already a man.
Exactly. Girls are raised to find yourself a good man to take care of you. You learn that from
Jump Street.
jump.
Half the women that have gone to college haven't gone for their own careers. They go because they're good.
They're going to get their degree.
I would say some. I
Shopping.
would say some do. Yes.
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
yes,
I mean,
yes.
again,
But you just-
I'm
that's
being
the-
facetious,
Yes, yes,
for
yes,
sure.
yes.
But,
But
to
that's
that point, I'm
Yeah.
saying that.
Because
Yeah.
you boys are taught, sow your wild oats, right? Just get out there, you get a good job, make good money. But girls aren't taught go out get a good job. Girls are taught find Mr. Right.
Yeah, we're not taught find Mrs. Right. That's not as high up on our priority list as
Right.
it is for yours.
Right. In
Now,
terms
all
of
the career stuff is there for y'all, especially nowadays and in
yeah,
more
yeah.
recent generations.
Definitely.
Right, but then
The
similarly,
you don't need a man generation.
right,
That's
exactly.
right.
So then for some of y'all, we ain't on the list at all, and for some reason, you actually think that's gonna make you happy. But we also
You
have
don't
to,
think a woman can be happy by herself?
of course,
Okay,
she
but
should
you
be
said for
happy
some
with
reason.
herself
Oh,
and by
okay.
herself because we ain't showing up until that's really true anyway.
Wow. Word.
Facts.
If
At
you don't
least-
have that
at least
level
not the
of
healthy- not the healthy man.
self-acceptance and self-satisfaction and
Right,
you know
right.
that kind of,
You have to be a full person.
if
You
you
do.
can't be happy in your life with it just being you, I seriously doubt that you're creating a healthy environment for a real king to come in and build something alongside you, and vice versa.
If it was that whole "you complete me"
Yeah.
out.
I mean,
like,
there's
that makes no
there's
sense.
dudes that think they can do it without y'all. Like, I don't need. It's all about let me get this money. Let me touch this, and them dudes miserable as hell.
Yeah, especially until they're 50
Miserable.
and start getting their prostate checked and be
Miserable.
like, "Oh, junk." Seriously, I hear that
But
a
even
lot.
before that, they're in their
That
20s.
women-
They're
no,
miserable.
But my point is that a lot of men will. I see a lot of my girlfriends who the men will come around when they get a certain age because they, your body's, it tells on you and you're like, oh, junk, that knee, that prostate. Oh, I just got this diagnosis. And then they start.
Right.
So then when they start swiping right on the, on the whatever, you get
When that vulnerability really starts showing
That's
up,
right.
now you want some
now
company.
you want some company. You want a caregiver.
Yeah,
and
now
I
you want
and a
some
lot
company.
of women I
They start
hear
getting scared.
are onto that.
Yeah.
FYI.
Yeah.
That's my word.
Yeah.
So yo,
No, I see that pattern. I think there's definitely some.
when did you know your lady was the one?
When I saw her, I did, and I was mad.
Because you're like, man.
I was like, shit, man, this ain't supposed to be happening right now. I got other shit I'm trying to do. I was like, this ain't supposed to be happening right now. Yeah, I literally just talked about it yesterday.
Yeah.
Telling the story. Yeah, I'll never forget when I saw her. I was like,
And where was that?
because I'm cussing my ass off anyway. I was like, so I'm gonna just say it the way I said it. All right, just to keep it
Okay.
100.
All right.
I was like, I said like just on some straight. That's what happened.
Right.
In the back.
In the back of your
That's exactly
head.
what I said.
And now you're using your outside voice.
Comment
Thank you
section.
for
Like,
that. I know.
I love him.
That's and that's yeah. It was like, yo, that's wifey material, dog. You know, it was like that. Not only did I think she was gorgeous, but I know gorgeous women. I was dating other gorgeous women at the time. It's the thing. It's just it's that one. It's something. It's also something about, not to go on a whole nother tangent here. I also do believe, again, we talked yesterday, did a conference there. Shout out to, I ain't going to drop none of that right now. But and we talked about, again, right, he who findeth, right, a wife findeth a good thing, that type of thing. So did I believe she had wifey quality, right? And as I got to know her, yes, I continue to believe that. But does that mean she was a wife already? Does that mean she would, no, that's the part of dating and growing up
together.
and maturing together and so forth and so on. Similarly, I always knew that I was at least going to be good husband and father material.
Right.
Then my job is to do the work, to
Right.
confirm that and affirm that.
Yo.
But when you have that moment where you're like, oh, shit, I think that's her.
Gotta start working.
Then it's like, what do I do? And like most times when we have maybe a certain kind of impulse, is it an impulse or is it your actual instincts, right? Is it greed? Is it fear? Is it sex, or is it actual sensibility? Is it God talking to you from a pure place? And then another message came, which was, don't let her leave. Because what I was about to do was like, yeah, she fine, but
I ain't gonna get caught up in that.
I ain't falling for the okie
Right.
doke. Similarly, I got my hands full. I don't need to add nobody else to this
Right,
conversation.
because I
That
noticed you
part,
said
that part.
I was dating
You know what
other
I'm saying?
pretty women.
Yeah,
That
no,
part, that part, yeah.
So in all fairness, and again, as a man of my word, I'm not gonna start nothing I can't finish.
Right, word, true.
Right.
Right,
I hate them
right.
sorry ass dudes that try to holler at a sister and then you ain't following up. Well, that's because you don't have the time and capacity even
No
for
doubt.
them. Even if you have the hope something might happen, but even then, what is that hope? Sometimes it might be strictly physical anyway. So stop disrespecting. Let's stop disrespecting our women like this. So
Shout out to black
I was
women.
not in that habit
Amen.
of disrespecting, right, our women, right, black women in that way. So I said, you know what, respectfully, let me just, boy, shut up, mind your business, leave that fine ass woman alone, and something said, like I said, don't let her leave.
So walk me through, because people are listening to this right
Yeah.
now and they are following every word. At that point, you then went to maybe the other woman or woman that you were dating and said, did you say, listen, I think I may have met the one?
Nope.
And so how did that go?
No, you date.
Oh, you just,
And they just fade out.
And
You
let 'em
add
fade.
you.
Just
You
let 'em
I
fade.
hate to say it this way, but we'll just say it. You add her to the conversation,
I
and
see.
then you continue to do so. At some
And you
point,
let-
so one of the
But
things
at
leaves-
some
let the leaves
point,
fall
I
off
think
the tree.
everybody, put it this way, a real man and a real G, first of all, you don't lie. You don't misrepresent the truth. Like you said, you tell folks what's really good, right? But I also realized kind of what that number was for me. Like, okay.
What you can handle, like
7 and 8, like 7, 8 of them, like is not, but like 4 or 5, that's a good manageable number. You know what I'm saying?
oh my goodness.
No, I'm just
Hey,
keeping it
yo.
100.
And
You
they all
kind
knew.
of,
And
Hey,
that's
Mal.
what
you
you're
just
saying.
kind of learn. No, they know you're dating.
gotta
Okay,
get
right.
rid of this
Okay,
dude.
that's what I mean.
And
Yeah,
that doesn't mean you're sleeping with everybody.
Right. But
And
they
even
just
if you
know.
are, you're not sleeping with all of them regularly at the same time.
I got you.
You know what I mean? Or
I do.
whatever.
No,
But
you brought
we
it
grown
home.
folks.
I got you.
Yeah, we grown folks. You do whatever. Yeah. At any given time, it could be. At any given time, it could actually be that. Like, yeah, I'm like, well, yeah, out of the 5 of them, like, okay, yeah, Monday, Wednesday,
But it's exhausting.
Saturday.
It's exhausting.
No, it can't
Like
be.
the real shit.
So you
It's
start to
exhausting.
understand.
It's not sustainable.
Yeah,
Is it-
so that's a great word. You start to understand what is actually sustainable.
Right.
What's a good management of my time? How do I keep my priorities straight?
Yeah.
How do I not overpromise and underdeliver?
Yes.
Like you know,
Literally.
like all of in so many ways. Hey, keep it 100 in so many ways. So you kind of like and then you're kind of like, well, who do I actually enjoy being around?
Right.
Right? what's just sex, what's this, what's that, whatever. And so as you start literally growing up, that's the other thing. You're like, fuck, I'm growing up. You know?
Right.
And you're like,
Years are going by.
I have,
You are
like,
literally
My priorities are changing.
it's changing. My priorities are changing. Even women,
Interest.
you might see somebody else be like, damn, she bad, but I'm not interested. You know,
plates
Yeah,
full.
like
yeah,
I
yeah.
find, even if it's not, I find her very attractive, but I'm not attracted to her. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Or I'm attracted to her, but I don't really find her that attractive. Like, however you want to play with that language, but there
Yep.
are women that are like, you know, and even still, I've had access and opportunity, but I'm good. I'm not even interested. That's when I knew I was ready to be married. When I could literally be in a room full of women. They could be butt ass naked. I could have shit right here on something here and something here, and I'd be like,
And nothing.
yeah. I mean, I'm appreciate it all. You know what I'm saying? But I know. But when I knew I could keep my hands to myself,
Right.
However immersed I was in any something that would be temptation for somebody else, I was like, oh shit. I was like,
I'm good. Yeah.
I'm extra. I'm like,
And
I'm
like,
good.
Like that moment when you said, when you know that you're a good man,
Yeah.
right? And understanding that, and
Yeah.
what that means, like once
See
you
the
get
way
that,
you lean
that,
back?
that center,
Sure.
You didn't
did.
see that. You saw that?
I did.
That's what I'm talking about.
once
It's
you
that.
get that centered,
It's that. When you can do that and be like, yeah. And now you know you like, I'm a G. I got asses. I got like, and I'm chilling. I appreciate it. It's cool. All right, y'all. Good night. Y'all be good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
And it's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
only because you may have a woman that's equally as well put together, right? But it's the fact that, like, I'm not even vibrating like that
Right.
anymore. So that's the thing. When these vibrations start to happen, when you see and meet the one that ends up, especially if she ends up becoming the one, I'm not surprised, is part of what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because there were very clear messages that happened at the point of initial sight. Now, of course, that all could have turned out differently.
Right.
And we've had our moments where it could have all
Why
exploded
you keep looking at me, bro?
or fallen off the
right
because you directly across from me, man. You know, but we've had our challenges where like it could have completely like fallen apart or dissolved early, especially before we were married, right? But again, to her credit as well, we did the work. We
Right.
stayed on
Did the
board
work.
together, and
Yeah.
over time, what I did was, hey, so and so.
Okay, now we're to that point. That's
Exactly.
All,
Hey.
I wanted to get to that point.
Thank you. You're a wonderful woman.
Your
You know what I
services
mean?
are no longer needed.
Yeah.
The kiss on the forehead.
Okay, okay.
Thanks, but no thanks. Or you might go over, smash it one more time, and then. But we know what's up.
Being real.
But we
And they
know
know.
what's up. And then guess
And
what?
they know
You know
what's
how
up,
many
too.
times my
Love
phone
you.
rang with a similar conversation? Lamar, you know I'm crazy about you.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what?
But
I've been
met
seeing some. That's
somebody.
right. Or remember so and so I mentioned to you who somebody she might have previously dated. Or again,
Right.
she's
That's
dating and
mature.
doing her thing too.
That's right.
That's
And
mature.
you might
right,
not.
right,
you
right.
ain't the one. You don't get picked. Right? Or somebody else steps up before you. She might have been waiting on you.
Right.
But somebody else says, hey, I want you, or I'm ready. And she says, you know what? Let's do it. And that's who she moves on with. Some
Right.
of those things have been sustainable, and a couple of those relationships haven't been sustainable. You know what I mean? But that still doesn't mean that I was the one for them.
right.
Right? So it's just that. But it was very clear to me when I saw her the first time, that's it. But the work still had to be done. That had to
Right.
be confirmed. She still also had to lean into me.
Right.
And it was also a timing thing. We were friends.
Yo.
We just stayed cool. And then only later we started hanging out and then dating. And then eventually it was like, okay, you my girl, you
Right.
you my woman, you my man, I love you too. Right? Like, okay, boom, it's official. It's just me and you.
Right,
But in
we
the
rocking.
process, it took some time to say, hey, one of the things I said to her, I was like, you just got here. You know, there's other people already here. There's other things already happening, and that's also family. I've got,
And it's real.
I got siblings. I got again all these other.
Just got here.
I got all these other kids I'm talking about. They're
Right,
already
right.
people that I'm committed to.
Yeah.
Right.
Who are in my life.
Relationships.
They ain't going nowhere, and my commitment to them is going to be sustained. I'm going to do the best I can to work you into
What
my
I
life.
have.
Just because you here, don't mean I owe you shit other than communication, right? Honesty, whatever that
right.
investment
We
is.
got
But you
y'all
got to
agree
give
on.
me time to bring
get
you
there.
up the
Yeah.
priority
Right.
list. You got to give me some time.
And she's probably saying the same thing. And
Yeah.
then you
Exactly.
put in the work.
And even if it's
and
a
you meet
different
up.
list or it's a different length of list, who knows?
Yep.
Right,
But at
right.
some point, it's just like, yo, but that's why communicating honestly about it was like, hey, yeah, it's like, please don't go nowhere. You kind of be like,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
don't leave. Like, hey, chill,
Yeah.
hang in there.
Right,
hang in
right.
there with me. I'm working.
Yeah.
rocking.
I'm working on
We
something.
rocking.
You know what I mean? We good. Like, hey, you all right? Like,
check-in is critical.
Can we keep? Yeah,
Critical.
Yeah.
Gotta check
You
in.
got to check in. Something. And I always bring up the fact that I'll never forget. She even asked me one time, was I seeing other people? I was like, you know.
Specific
Got,
question.
yeah, right.
Yo,
yeah,
I was in the car and I was stuck. You can't go nowhere. You be in the car. Can't get out the car. But I love that moment because I was proud of myself. To be honest with
teller.
you. Yeah, because it was kind of like, all right, who you gonna be? You gonna be
Right,
that
that's
dude
good, yeah.
that just says what she wants to hear?
Right.
Yeah.
Are you going to be the guy that is dishonest? Are you going to be the guy that tap dances around the truth? Are you going to, So for me, a big part of it was to not be afraid of her, for lack of a better way to put that.
Right,
I don't
right.
want, and
It's
that,
kind of the
and not in an
reaction and the-
egotistical
Right,
way,
word,
but
word.
in
Yeah.
a way that I think, in actuality, a lot of men are actually afraid of women because they're afraid of the consequences.
That's
They're
right.
afraid of her responses. They're afraid of
The mother issues
even
they have-
them
they
being
haven't
able to
recognized.
actually be honest. You don't want to be the guy who does the right thing. You want to be the guy that does whatever the hell he want to do and ain't nobody controlling your decisions and da-da-da-da, as opposed to, and you even want to have the upper hand of like, I know guys that brag about the fact that they lie to women. Like, I don't think that's anything to brag about. Like, of course she don't, huh? What?
No, and
Now,
she most
if
likely
you're the
knows
dude
that they're
instead,
lying.
if you're the dude instead, that's like, oh yeah, no, they all know what's up. Like, I'd be like, oh shit, I'm like, okay, dog. You know what I mean? Like that to
Right,
me,
you get respect.
Right,
that's more impressive.
Yeah.
That they actually know what's up. So I've tried to at least be the guy that's like, hey, we're not together, but we're building something, and I'm chopping that list down. I'm cutting these cords.
Right.
You
Right.
actually have
I'm making
fewer
space for you.
consequences when you tell the truth.
I believe so. And you have to have the faith in her. You got to trust her, and you have to have the guts enough, have the balls to do that and stand up straight, stand up in it. And even if you get some shit or she says, oh, well, that doesn't work for me, you got to accept the consequences.
Yeah.
Or again, negotiate. I don't know.
Right.
Right. See, I had the complete opposite experience with my wife. Like, I had been in a 6-year relationship, and then I spent the next 2 years like a man who had been in a 6-year relationship.
Right.
And I had gotten to the point where I started to recognize certain patterns. Like, all of my relationships were kind of ended the same. Even my pseudo relationships were kind of ended the same. And I was like, okay, well, the common denominator is me. And I've been telling women I'm not looking for a relationship, but somehow it ended up
There anyway.
or at least again them trying, and it made me go, well, what energy, what messages, what mixed messages am I giving? So I decided to take a hiatus. I took I stopped dating. No relationships, no dating, mostly no sex.
Yeah.
He said mostly for sex. I love him for that.
No, really. It's almost like you got to purge.
Yeah, and I
So-
because I
so
realized
Cleanse
I
the
needed
palate.
Exfoliation.
exfoliation. Wow. I'll take that. I like that. I love that. So I was in that. Yeah, I was in that exfoliation phase, and I was really like, I knew I needed to get clarity for myself, so I could figure out
Powerful word. I was going to say that.
what
Clarity.
energy, so I could be clear on the energy moving forward that I was giving women. And I had, during that time, I had come to the, I had accepted the fact that the next chapter of my life really may be about something bigger than wife and family. So I had made peace with the fact that I probably will not be a father.
That's exactly what happened to me.
And I was cool with that.
Yeah.
And when I met my wife, we met actually when I was in that space.
Yes.
And we had a mutual friend, and our mutual friend was like, well, you know, she's really a cool person. At the very least, she could be a cool friend, a cool spiritual connection. You know, one date, you know, wouldn't hurt. So I was like, I'm not really dating. I'm in this place. She was like, yeah, but one date wouldn't hurt. She could be cool, whatever. So I also figured that the things that I was working on, I could not really work on if I was completely disengaged from the opposite sex. So, you know, I took our mutual friend up on it, like, okay, let's hang out. And I remember our first date, we went to the movies, went to dinner, and I felt like this would be a great opportunity for me to go on a date.
And test
Right.
all the stuff you learned.
Yeah, like we go on we you know go on a date, then I drop her
Test
off.
run.
I drop her off, and I go home by myself. Like, let me have that experience. And just to, you know, I just have to throw out there, because if she were here, she would say that would have been the experience. Regardless,
Right.
whether you were there or
Right.
not, that's what would have happened.
Right.
So I got to
Right.
put that out there, right?
She
And-
thanks you.
Yeah, and I remember our first date. We were, you know, I was like, yeah, I'm probably not going to have kids. And she said, well, I'm definitely having kids. And we were both like, oh, great. We're not even on the same page. So we can really just be friends. We can
Right.
really just kind of hang out.
Right.
And I remember that first date was September. Our second date was October. We didn't date again until November. And it was just really like we're just, you know, hanging out.
Yeah.
And because we were just hanging out,
Same for me.
I wasn't,
vu.
you know, I wasn't looking for an angle. So I was very honest and very upfront. All cards were on the table, because as far as I was concerned, this wasn't really going anywhere. So I could just, you know, I was having candid conversations that I might not have had.
That's right.
If
there
I was trying
an
to
ulterior motive,
yeah.
right?
And I
That's the
remember,
trick.
Vulnerable.
yeah.
Open yourself up.
Yeah,
right?
it's-
Authentic.
I think it was more about authentic than even being vulnerable, because I was like, because it was like, this is how I feel. It's like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I remember a point where it was like, well, if I were going to have a kid, you know, she would probably be the perfect one, because we're so cool that if something, you know,
Right.
happened between us, she would still be someone that I would want to raise.
Right. That
A
I can see
person
myself
with.
parenting with.
You know? And so by this point, it's about the 5.5 month point. And mind you, I've spent more of my adult years in long-term relationships than I haven't.
Right.
So, I'm talking 4, 5, 6, 7.5 year relationships.
Yeah.
And if you were to ask me, I would be the person to say, well, you need to be with someone for a good 3 or 4 years before you get married, because you really need that kind of time to know who they are. And I remember it was the 5.5 month point. And I thought about all these years of people who had been together for a long time, had been married for a long time, and they say, when you know, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I always thought it was a cool concept, because
Right.
being in these long-term
Right.
relationships, like,
Right.
okay, cool, that sounds cool.
Yeah.
And I remember that moment, I was like, oh, that's what they're talking about.
Yo,
And
I
I said
vaguely
to her,
remember.
so I said this at the 5.5 month period. I said to her, and we had never talked about kids ever again since that
Yeah.
first date.
Really?
And I said, what do you think about starting a family?
Wow.
And she looked at me. She was like, are you serious? And I was just like, yeah. Like, when we talked about it, and we thought, well, yeah. And by this time, at that time, we may have only had sex maybe like 3 times at the most. So it wasn't about any like, ooh, you know, it wasn't about any of that. It was just, it was a
Yeah. It was a little more. It was something. It was more
Yeah,
grounded than that,
yeah.
right?
So we said, okay, cool. It sounds good. Let's take all precautions, right? Let's get on birth control, and let's keep hanging out to make sure that we really want to do this. To make sure, let's still keep. It's only been 5.5 months,
Right.
Yeah.
Let's keep hanging out and keep knowing each other
Mm-hmm.
to make sure that this is more than just a cool concept. And that's what we did. And then at the time when we decided to pull the trigger, a month and a half later, our daughter was in the oven. Yeah.
Happened and
And it's so funny because my daughter will say that she already knew, and my daughter's 6. She said she already knew. She was just waiting for us
Right.
oh wow.
to decide.
Yes. Ain't that deep?
Yes, that is.
And again, I'll repeat, she's 6 years old.
When she said that.
Wow.
Yeah, she
That's
said that.
deep. But I actually feel that way about my son. He was coming to me long before he existed. It was just this kind of spirit. And the crazy thing about it is my father said the same thing about me.
Really?
Now, I think I may have already been conceived at that point, but he's like, yeah, man, he used to come to me all the time. Tell me about my dreams, stuff like that.
That's so
Yeah, when you were
sweet.
on your way, that kind of thing. So I didn't have my son's face. I didn't have his name. I didn't have, any of that stuff. But just this energy was starting to circulate. But similarly, I had already kind of resigned to the fact that we're not having kids. Like,
Yeah.
my wife's not really trying to have, babies. And so I was also clear when I married her and when I proposed to her that I was okay with just her. Right. So, and I wanted to make it clear. Similarly, I was like, all right, I want you to be married because you want to be actually married to me, the person, not the thing, not the marriage, not the ring, not the
idea.
lifestyle, not the
kids,
idea,
not the
not
idea,
the-
not the
right,
money,
all
not
this,
the-
and also not this other stuff that you might not be telling me, but that's part of your fairy
Expectations
tale or
and, yeah.
expectation or right, any kind of little sideways kind of stuff. You tell me one thing and then switch up on me later. Like, we're not doing that. Like, don't make a fool of me. Don't waste my time. Right?
Right.
So let's keep it like 100 when it comes to all that. I was like, but if we cool with it being like me and you, yeah, let's do it.
Was that the same?
I want to do this with you. Like, let's
go.
you know what I'm saying?
I like it. I like that.
Yeah, and then later,
That's
these other
a
things
moment.
start happening because I didn't even think marriage was even really,
Right.
her thing. Honestly,
Same happened with you. That was kind of like a
Nah.
okay.
We're at the National Black Music Festival.
Yeah.
And I met her years ago, right? But I had locks. I had locks when I first met her,
Okay.
right? She was like, like she doesn't even remember me.
Wow.
From when
So
I
you're
met
talking like locks down to the
I
back.
had
Okay.
and then met a few years later. That I had cut my locks, but I had this big bush. And she was like, "Yeah, I kind of remember you then, but And I wasn't trying to holler. You know what I mean? Because her friend Helena D. Lewis was co-host for Midnight Poetry, right? And she's 1 year at the festival. She came. They were doing a play, yada yada yada, and we liked each other. We kind of figured it out.
You got to okay. You got to the end.
He had 3 chances.
I was waiting for like the hair got shorter and then we went.
So
to,
yeah,
I didn't mean
so
it was
oh,
a head-
my fault, my
got
fault.
shorter.
So yeah,
Finish that
So
up.
when I met her, I had like just cut my hair. Like I had this like
There we
regular,
go.
yeah.
Bring it home.
and then she
and-
saw you.
And then
And
she
the vest,
saw
I had
you.
this vest from Chester, right?
Yeah.
He had left it in the room, whatever. I had to take it back to him. So I was like down at the press conference, and I had it on to give to him. And she saw me in the vest. She was like, "Oh, that's cute. Like he's cute." And I was like, "Damn," But then I had to give up the vest. You know what I mean?
So you made the impression.
I was already like,
It served its purpose. It served its purpose.
Thanks for the
Thanks,
vest.
Chester.
Yeah, right.
Your services
My
are no longer needed.
right. You know what I mean? But also, like, we talk like we were like, yo, we're not really looking for marriage, looking for, But then I was like, oh, yeah, I do like her.
Yeah.
Oh, she's special.
Yeah.
And you know how you kind of make those lists?
Yeah.
You know?
Yes. Yes.
So I had this thing, like, because I knew a lot of beautiful sisters, like great sisters. And I had, she's going to be like a comic book geek. And that was on my list because it was something that I wasn't interested in. So it wouldn't be somebody
Interesting.
that I just run into but it'd be something special, sort of.
Something different.
And like we were talking to her, and she's like, "Yeah, just let you know, like I'm comic book." I was like, "It's her."
Right.
And it really was her.
Yeah.
Wow.
You were
love
her
Shelley.
kryptonite.
Yo, if Batman walked into the room, she'd leave me. Batman is a dude. Like Bruce Wayne come in here, I gotta be like, I love you.
Wow.
You know what I mean? But yeah.
That's
Wow,
funny, man.
that is
but yeah,
amazing.
man, it's a wonderful thing, man. We love y'all, man. So like we
Black
couldn't be
women
more
for the win.
privileged. Couldn't
There
be
we
more
go.
privileged.
Thank you.
I wouldn't want like when I come back, I don't want to come back as nothing else. I want to be a black man all over again.
Talk about it.
100%.
That's a great.
Yeah.
That's a great
that-
input.
That's
it.
I was
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right here.
I want to come right. I want to come back.
Yeah.
and be a
Well,
black.
hold
I
on, I
want to
still
come back
got
as a
stuff to
black
give
man.
you.
Oh yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Yeah, hold on. We'll cut all that shit and come back to it. Let's do it. No, this is it. Let's bring it into because.
All right. Yeah.
All
So
right,
Yes,
so we
yes.
roll.
All right. So ready, go.
All right. So I got some goodies for y'all, man. And
Hey.
Oh,
We like goodies. We like goodies.
so representing for this brand, one for all for one. Want to make sure. All right. So I think.
And if
that
anybody didn't
is-
catch up, that's the
think that's for
sweatshirt
you.
we're looking at. Oh,
All right.
I thank you. Thank you.
No, I think this Oos, this is you, bro.
That's what you see.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's oos. You heard that? Lane, you heard that?
Uzi.
Thank you, bro.
All right.
Well, you
Oops.
got 8.
All right.
Word.
So yeah, feel free to. So just a little.
Appreciate the
let's
love.
talk.
Appreciate the
little drip.
Little
Sure,
drip.
Go for it. Yeah. You know.
Yo,
One for all and all for
And
one.
a good
Yeah,
bag.
man.
You can't beat a good bag.
Shout out to my man Ancobia and everybody. You know, with the 050 love, man. So all right. So this is some of the.
nice.
I love that color, man. That's like
Word.
right. But yeah,
got
man.
the
So
good-
I think those you
the
got
good
the
salmon,
camo, you got the red.
This is
I got
his
the
uniform,
sensitive
the
man.
hoodie. And look,
Bruh.
ooh.
you know I'm all hoodie light. Hoodie light.
Yeah.
But yeah, so check them out.
Yes,
050
yes.
1995, man. This is a brand I've been crazy about for a long time. You
Since
know,
college, right?
yeah. So I'm really happy that they're rebirthed and rebranded and expanding, you know, the product line and just, you know, the consciousness behind the brand and everything.
Got
man.
the
So
Blackly
wanted to
Black
make
Black.
sure, yeah, it was like completely appropriate, you know, for
Yeah.
for you all and for this crew and even this particular platform, man. So,
Yo, thank you,
know,
bro.
Oh,
Thank
yeah,
you.
already know. I
Yes,
love you, bro.
yes.
Yo, real quick, y'all have known each other for, like you said, since. But this is like the first time, one of the first times, rare times y'all sat down and like really got to build.
On air.
Yeah.
at
On
least.
air.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, like you said at the festival, I mean, we've been, you know,
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
it's-
we luckily, yeah, and I think one time at the festival we realized, like, yeah, we've never worked together, shared the stage or screen or anything, but we did a couple readings together.
Yeah.
you know that we, you know, smashed. Everybody was like, "Oh my God, you guys!
Why aren't y'all working together?"
That we've never had the opportunity. Isn't that crazy? So you know that's why this is extra fun too, man. So you know, you build like this on this level when it comes to any of these other different types of mediums and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Platforms or whatever. But it'd be fun to actually be on screen and on stage together. That's gonna be fun. when that
And the
happens.
thing, we're gonna have to do another episode another time.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
you know,
I'm coming back.
Yeah, because the thing
sure.
that we never that I think would be a good discussion to have on air is just being able to navigate
Oh yeah,
through
what we
this
do.
business, right? With our souls and dignity and integrity intact. Like that's a whole
It is.
thing in itself.
It is. It is. It's a thing. It's a real thing.
Right.
Yeah. I mean,
So
the
we'll
fact
see
that
you
we
again.
Still standing here, and have our full faculties, and
And
Right, because
dignity.
we're talking what 30
Really? Yeah,
years.
really?
On, okay, we're going to do the numbers. We're talking several decades that you've been in
Several
the business.
decades.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
literally. It's
Well, he's the OG. He's the OG on that. He got me. He got me beat. I waited until after college and stuff like that, like for me to really kind of jump in, so to speak, with both feet. So I'll say officially for me, this is 25 years.
Okay.
But again, like we're talking about, the foundations were being laid when we were teenagers. We were, performing and training, and you know what I mean, and that kind of thing, there. So that's what's been cool, is being able to have have had that amount of time, even though you might not have been. It was a while before I officially got a check.
Right.
But yeah, but
That's
I
a
think
big
all
deal.
those years count. They all count. But I kind of
Yeah.
I kind of used like the Temptations movie that we did in '98.
Right.
98.
So I kind of decided to kind of use.
That's
I'll
the
use that. Kind of like we were talking about
kickoff.
the 50th anniversary of hip hop, right? We
Right.
know
chose,
what's happening.
Right.
All
It
right,
was-
so August 13th, 1973.
Right.
But we all know it was
Rocking before
birthed
that.
before that, and it
Right.
existed before that, and there were things happening before that,
For sure.
right? So it's like that kind of thing. So at some point, you just kind of let's do that as the kind of official, because people ask you that, what was your big break and what was your like I don't know what
Yeah,
just like the
yeah.
word
It
success.
was
How do we
kinda-
define what success is or where excellence has
Are you
originated
itching,
or
Are
something.
you
So,
itching
you know
to do
what?
something now
It's
as an actor?
Oh, there's all. Oh, yeah, there's countless stories.
That you itching to
tell.
do? That you what, like,
I'm writing and creating stuff as well. Trying to make sure we got a whole pipeline. That's
I'm
just,
an actor too.
Mm-hmm.
As you
There we go.
write
There
and
we
create.
go.
Yeah, that's your actor look. That was your actor pose.
That's my headshot.
That was terrible.
That's my
a
82
bad
headshot.
That was
my
a bad
82.
headshot too. That was one of those.
That was a glamour shot joint.
Yeah, right. Oh, those headshots are so bad when people do that. And the guys are bad, but the women are so bad. Like they try to so hard to make sure that it's a pretty picture, and yeah, they're so bad. So
Lane, you're fired.
Lane's like, this is the
I
real
call
deal.
you.
He's
Right,
like,
right,
he's like,
You know
that's
how
why
you
I
get
call
close to
cut.
your house?
Yeah.
oh my God,
Damn.
is that not the worst?
Yeah, I was like, you know what?
That is the
moment
worst.
that we were like,
hold
all right,
on.
let's wrap it up. I was like,
And don't let it be
damn,
cold.
this
And I
was
think
started.
it's also when it's cold, it's
And I
worse.
said, This
Yes.
is the worst
Like, I was fine, like-
ever right now. So, that was it.
That happened.
Yo, that's
It
funny
happened.
as hell.
And then I was sitting there like, do I go outside and pee in the parking lot? What do I do? What do I do?
Right.
Because it was good. Hey, for real, that was fantastic, y'all.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
that's so
Literally.
funny.
I
Killed
don't
that.
think y'all know.